welcome to meditation. We're going to keep going with the Yoga Sutras. And today we're on Sutra 110, which is short and sweet. So let's start with what it says. We're talking about the 5 modifications of the mind that can be either painful or painless. This one would be a painless one, typically. So 1.10 says, the mental modification supported by cognition of nothingness is sleep. So his explanation here, Swami Satchidananda talks about it being cognition of nothingness. When I was reading it, I was like, well, what about dreams? There's things that happen when we put our head on the pillow or however we like to sleep that I think of as being modifications. And sometimes painful, like dreams can be upsetting. If you kept reading, you'll notice that in the next one, which talks about memories, he actually covers dreams in there. He says memories come in 2 ways. Dreams are memories that come to the surface when we sleep, and daydreams are memories that arise during the day. So if you were like me and like, well, what about the dreams? Dreams are actually considered the 5th type of modification. I did a little bit of research on this because that's what I like to do, about sort of like how the brain works when we're in sleep. And one of the things that I read was that the brain waves that are measured by EEGs, which is a medical technique for measuring brain waves, are somewhere between cognition and REM sleep. So there's different levels of brain activity that we move through during different phases of consciousness. And meditation is somewhere right between alertness and deep sleep. And so what can happen is as we get into that range that's closer to sleep, our mind can just slip right in there. Who's fallen asleep meditating before? Me. It's a little weird. You do that thing sometimes where you kind of, whoop. So I think it's pretty common. The things I've read about it and listened to from my own teacher say that it's pretty common. For me, what that means is just give myself permission to notice that it's happening, usually by kind of rocking forward, and start again, but working with some tools that can help you get back to alertness. What works for me are deeper breaths, getting alert in my body again, and even like stretching movements for my face. So sometimes I'll just open my mouth really wide, open my eyes, blink 10 times, and then start again. If you need to do any of those things while we're practicing today, don't be shy. You can turn off your camera if you're worried about what that looks like. Just so you know, also, these recordings, it's only when you're talking that your face is on the recording. So I'll mute you guys, and you guys aren't on the recording anyways. All right, I'm just going to lead us into a very simple, uninterrupted meditation as research. The less I interrupt, the more likely you might get to that little liminal place between the two. Any questions or comments before we start? Okay. Assume the position. The more alert you are in your body, the more likely you are to stay awake. So sitting away from the back of your chair or whatever you're on. Close your eyes, or if it helps to keep them lowered and open, that's also a good technique. then start to sense into your posture from the ground up. To the physical experience of whatever you're touching at your foundation. Being intentional with your hands. Notice your breath. This morning, I invite you into a simple anchor of the feeling of your breath. So letting your attention rest on some part in your body where you can sense the inhalation and the exhalation. Lightly to that tether. So there's a little bit of permission to soften into the practice. posture if it's lost some alertness. breathe some fuller breaths. One more nice big breath. And when you're ready, you can flutter your eyelashes open. Anybody willing to admit if they fell asleep? Yeah. So, my main teaching would be, if you do find yourself falling asleep, half smile. And then start over. No big deal. Especially if you practice every day. You know, I mean, if we get to do this every day and we have that intention, one meditation where we don't do it as planned, I mean, that's the practice. If you fall asleep every time, I'd say there's some research there. So, yeah. I hope you enjoyed our quiet time. Questions or comments before we go?
I want real quick, Kate.
Yeah.
I think it's Alan Watts says that when we are, is either Eckhart Tolle or Alan Watts says that when we're sleeping, we're in contact with God or our higher being. So when we wake up, we should be a little bit gentle, moving from that realm into this one. And the other one is Yoga Nidra, is kind of this same kind of thing where you're right there on that balance between sleep and awake. And that's usually where I fall asleep, is Yoga Nidra.
Yeah, Yoga Nidra is harder for me because I'm laying down. And there's like, if it's done properly, it actually takes you through the different levels of brainwaves and gets you into some of those sleep states, but should tether you just enough so that you don't. The only time I've ever heard all of Khan's Yoga Nidra is when I've been sitting in a chair watching it. I've never been able to recall the whole thing laying down on my back. But that's part of the beauty of it, is that it takes you into that place that a lot of us really, really need. A lot of us don't sleep well, and it's a kind of a magical thing to be able to do that in 20 minutes.